Now, I know it's looking like Bradley Barcola is going to Liverpool, but his name is hot on the lips of Arsenal fans. So I just wanted to get some thoughts off my chest. As I said, it looks likely he's going to Liverpool until they've got that over the line. I guess that's where the beacon of hope with Arsenal fans in terms of signing a game-changing left winger are concerned. And I want to ask Arsenal fans, honest to God, yeah, I like Bradley Barcola, but is he really the level raiser for our football club that you're portraying? Maybe by default, yes, I'm not debating is he better than Martinelli? Clearly he is. Clearly there's a scope of potential. Probably should have bought him when the man was at Lyon. But is he really a game changer? Is he as good as you're putting his level? Or is it really trying to scratch beneath the surface of his potential? Potential is one thing, realized potential is another thing. Is he worth the reported 145 million pounds that we would have to depart? With that being said, is it really an upgrade, 145 million pounds upgrade, or is it just transfer madness, man? Don't get me wrong. As I said, Bradley Barcola is cold. He's got the physical attributes. He's quick. He's got trickery. His finishing is a source of frustration, but you can obviously do that. I think he's better than Martinelli. If we could get it for a certain price, I'm on it, people. And like I said, I'm not disputing his ability. It's just when you're looking at 145 million, it's a different ball game. Now we know prices, players' ability, it got muddied a long time ago. We're further creeping into the transfer abyss just in the whole of footballing world. PSG, in my opinion, are within their rights actually to try and get top money for him when you're seeing the fees that are going around, regardless of, you know, if they're backed by an oil state and all of the other things. So like I said, I'm not disputing his ability, but at that price, Arsenal, to a degree, would be. But in my opinion, we shouldn't be buying potential, people. We need to be buying certainty. Does he necessarily get the double figures on that left-hand side at the point of entry to the football club? If we signed him, great. But does he really? Is he genuinely a transformative upgrade on that left-hand side? By default, he's better than Martinelli. But when you look beyond that default, does it really make sense? Arsenal, again, we didn't get Vinicius, but if, you know, we were prepared to put the financial muscle behind it, people, that would have been worth the money, and that was a superstar. Now, his price tag of 145 million probably could be bartered down, but we was told it was 120 all the way to 130-ish region for Vinicius. So what, two questions. Is Barcola worth Vinicius Junior money? Is he worth more than Vinicius Junior of what it would have been? Is he worth spending an extra 15 million, for example, in that regard? As we know, Vinny Junior signed a new Real Madrid contract. Arsenal still need a genuine ceiling raiser on that left-hand side. Trossard, Mr. Clutch has left. Martinelli's future is subject to speculation. He's got a year left on his deal with the option of another one. And again, Barcola is now probably one of the biggest names potentially available, both in terms of you're looking around the market, as I said, and I know they don't all play in this position, but you look at the market, there isn't an Eden Hazard at Lille, there isn't a Griezmann at Sociedad, there isn't an Alexis Sanchez at Udinese, and the left wing market looks a bit cooked. I don't think any of the left wingers we've been linked with necessarily 100% convinced me. Would I have a Nico Williams or Barcola? 100%, people. So I respect the ambition that Arsenal's shown so far, but Arsenal are champions now. And again, ambition doesn't necessarily win you stuff. You know, I can applaud your pursuits of Morgan Rogers and Vinicius, but end of the day, barring Zolis, who we was told would be an addition to whatever else we're doing in attack, we haven't solved that, people. So like I said, I respect the ambition. We are defending champions now. We should be shopping at the top of the table. But shopping at Harrods doesn't necessarily mean you buy everything without checking the price, people. Now, we know what Barcola could give Arsenal. He's rapid, he's direct, he's comfortable attacking defenders 1v1, can play on either side, even though we want him off the left. He carries a threat in the transition. He's a Champions League winner, so he provides international level and big club experience with PSG in France, people. He's only 23, which obviously would mean Arsenal would get someone that's entering their prime years, people. And he does provide another top-class level threat rather than just making everything Saka and inshallah. Barcola gives chaos. He can receive it wide. He can run at his man. He can turn a normal attack into a dangerous one, no doubt. We sometimes evidently look too static and organized and ultimately too predictable. So that player could potentially provide that individual madness. But again, at 145 million, is he truly elite? He obviously faces competition from the Doués, the Dembeles, the Kvaratskhelia at PSG. Anyone will struggle to be a key part when you're playing against or competing with those elite level talents, people. He isn't the undisputed main man there. He's seen as a key member of the squad. There are obviously questions about whether his final product matches his physical and technical ability. And again, people, potentially at 145 million, that would make him the third most or fourth most, or at least top five most expensive footballers ever. And no doubt he would, he'd be Arsenal's biggest ever signing, people. You cannot charge me historic player money for a player who is unquestionably who isn't unquestionably a historic figure, yet better yet. And at 45 million, I need double figures in all comps. I need double figures in the league. I need goals. I need assists. I need clutch moments. I need availability. I need someone who wants to take responsibility when games look tight. The reported valuation would put Barcola behind only the Mbappes and the Neymars in terms of most expensive transfers. Now you look at Martinelli, Premier League experience in 278 Arsenal appearances. He's got 62 goals and 36 assists. Pace, pressing, defensive discipline, an established relationship with Mikel Arteta and obviously the Arsenal squad. And he's already experienced the pressure of representing Arsenal, which granted Barcola has at Paris Saint-Germain. But let's be honest, last season was disappointing. He scored only once in 11 starts in the league. His development's clearly stalled. He's gone from being a player that I believe in to being a tool in the toolbox. He's got a year left on his deal with the option of an extension, to which naturally Arsenal have to make a decision soon. I'm not saying Martinelli deserves to start. I'm not saying that he's a level raiser. I'm not saying he can't necessarily go, people. I'm not even necessarily caring about what the individual did 3 years ago. We all know football doesn't work like that. But we're certain that Barcola gives us £100 million more than our existing options. And that's the uncomfortable question. We could use Zolis and go from being a squad player to the first team distributor where you and Martinelli fight. Naturally, until a winger comes in, we'll be keeping Martinelli for another season. And we could probably, in some ways, making a decision is making no decision is making the wrong decision. And as much as I'm frustrated about not getting a left winger on top of winning the league and that being an evident area of improvement, and really and truly Arteta and Bert will be very pissed off with that. In this regard, sometimes making a decision is not making it. It is making the best decision. You know what? Do we just leave it for another year, get a defensive reinforcement in to cope with the absence of Saliba? I'm not necessarily saying I want that. I do want to pull a rabbit out the hat, but for one reason or another, we're approaching that. As I said, with the Alexis, the Griezmanns, the Hazard points, I can't see them out there. If the club can, that's another thing. I can't see them out there. Nico Williams, Rashford, Leao, Pedro Neto, a left-footed right winger that's been linked with us. None of these guys we've been linked with, Barcola, some are better than others. And I want to make it clear, I'm having Barcola, but 100% convincing me that from the level of point of entry to Arsenal, you're going to be a level raiser? I don't know. And I'm probably a broken record, but I keep saying this. You need to find the Julian Alvarez's when he's at River Plates, the Mane's when he's at Southampton, Salah off the back of a failed kind of spell at Chelsea, rebuilding himself in Italy, and that's actually something we could do, because I very much doubt Liverpool fans were waxing lyrical when they signed Salah. It's fair to say it worked out. Doué when he's at Rennes. This is the kind of stuff we need to get into now, whether it's buying household names, whether it's finding those emerging talents, a Vinicius in Brazil, etc. We haven't done that. So that's food for thought, people. So it is an interesting one. Like I said, I'm not saying don't sign Barcola, but for 145 million, which is the top end, does that mean Arsenal necessarily lack ambition if we don't do it? Sometimes his ambition is knowing which players are worth breaking the market for, people. If PSG suddenly turn around and become a bit more realistic, in my thoughts, in terms of their valuation, and you're looking at a 90 to 105 million to 117 like Morgan Rogers, another failed pursuit, then that's a very different thing, people. Then I could understand the conversation, because then you are buying talent, you are buying age, you are buying long-term potential. But at 45 million, there can be no learning season, people. There's no give me time. He has to arrive, thrive immediately. And obviously from the point of entry, it's unfair, but he'd have to be Arsenal's best attacker, give or take, with Saka, and by default one of the best, if not the best, in the league, people. And again, we still need to get defensive cover. Saliba and Timber are still currently unavailable. One enormous purchase could potentially have implications on our remaining budget. Just providing food for thought. So my verdict would be, I don't know why I said party there. Barcola's an upgrading potential. 1,000,000%. I like what he could be. But I do think he's like the Lionel Messi of Madueke's, people. And I do think he's a good player, but because Arsenal fans want a left winger, we're putting him on a level that he's not. And ultimately, when he doesn't reach those expectations from the point of entry, These will be the first people drawing him out, people. If Arteta and Berta believe he becomes a world-class winger, let's test PSG with a serious but sensible offer. If they won't negotiate, then I'm at the point now, and like I said, clearly I'm frustrated about this left winger stuff, but we might as well just leave it there, if I'm honest. As I said, for what it's worth, I think the man goes Liverpool, but for argument's sake, what would you lot do? Who would you lot go for? Would you spend the top end line of 145 million for Barcola? Would you waste time trying to negotiate it down? Would you keep Martinelli regardless of if we sign a left winger or not? Or would you let him go regardless of if we sign someone or not? And what is the absolute maximum you would pay for Barcola, people? I like the player, but the price is taking liberties. And again, Barcola was there at Lyon.